The Beggar Who Became a Businessman. There once lived a beggar at a city's railway station. He survived by begging from the passengers who came and went on the trains. One day, while he was begging, he saw a tall man dressed in a fine suit. The beggar thought, "This man looks very rich. If I ask him for alms, he'll surely give me a good amount." So he went to the tall man and asked for money. The tall man looked at him and said, "You always keep asking from others. Do you ever give something to anyone?" The beggar replied, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I always take from people. I don't have the means to give anything to anyone." The tall man said, "If you cannot give, then you have no right to ask either. I am a businessman. I believe only in give and take. If you have something to give me in return, only then will I give you something." After saying this, the tall man boarded the train and left. The beggar kept thinking about his words. The man's statement deeply touched his heart. He thought, "Maybe the reason I never get much alms is that I never give anything back to anyone. But I'm just a beggar. What do I even have to give? Still, how long will I keep taking from others without ever giving anything in return?" After thinking for a long time, he decided, "From now on, whenever someone gives me alms, I'll give them something in return." But another question troubled him. What could a beggar possibly give? He spent 2 whole days thinking, but couldn't find an answer. On the third day, as he sat near the station, he noticed some beautiful flowers blooming on nearby plants. Suddenly, he had an idea. Why not give these flowers to people in return for their alms? He liked the thought. He picked some flowers and went to beg on the train. Now, whenever anyone gave him money, he would hand them a few flowers in return. People smiled and happily kept the flowers. Day by day, more and more people began giving him alms. He realized that when he had flowers to give, people eagerly gave him money. But when he ran out of flowers, no one gave him anything. This became his daily routine. One day, while begging, he again saw the same tall man in the train, the one whose words had changed his life. He quickly went to him and said, "Sir, today I have something to give you in return. If you give me alms, I'll give you these flowers." The tall man smiled, gave him some money, and took the flowers. He said, "Wonderful. You have become a businessman, just like me." He got down at his station and left. But his words once again touched the beggar's heart deeply. He kept thinking about what the man said and felt very happy. His eyes sparkled with new hope. He looked up to the sky and shouted with excitement, "I'm not a beggar anymore. I'm a businessman. I can become rich too." People around thought he had gone mad. But the next day, that beggar was nowhere to be found at the station. 6 months later, at the same station, 2 men in suits were traveling by train. They looked at each other, shook hands, and one of them said, "Do you recognize me?" The other replied, "No, I don't think we've met before." The first man smiled and said, "Oh, but we've met twice before, right here on this very train." The second man looked surprised. "I don't remember." "When did we meet before?" The first man smiled again and said, "I'm the same beggar you once refused to give alms to, and the same man who later gave you flowers." The tall man was astonished. "Oh, now I remember. You were that beggar. But tell me, how come you're in a suit today? What are you doing these days?" The man replied, "Yes, I was that beggar. But now I'm a big flower merchant. I'm traveling to another city for business." After a short pause, he continued, "During our first meeting, you taught me an important truth, that we only receive when we give. This law of nature, the rule of give and take, truly works. At that time, I always saw myself as a beggar. But in our second meeting, when you called me a businessman, I finally understood that I had already become one. I realized people weren't giving me alms. They were paying for the flowers. I was a small businessman in their eyes, but in my own mind, I still thought like a beggar. After your words, my mindset changed. With the money I earned, I bought more flowers and started my own business. People love flowers here, and their love made me one of the biggest flower merchants in the city. The two businessmen smiled and shook hands again as they got off the train, talking happily about their businesses. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that our thinking shapes our success. The tall businessman understood the rule of give and take, the secret behind all great success. The beggar applied this rule, changed his mind. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us kindness is the real currency of life.